Today's art class we're going to be doing an acrylic pour. Now acrylic pours, you basically just mix up some runny paint and then you just pour and make a creation. You play with the paint on the canvas if you like, but with today's acrylic pour we don't have a pouring medium. Well, I do, but I thought I would show you how to mix up the paint using just a PVA glue. It was quite cheap. I think it was a few dollars just from the shop. We're not going to do too big a pour today. We're just using a reasonably small canvas. So for today's activity or art class, you're going to need some water, a variety of acrylic paints. Now I've picked blues and some kind of earthy tones because I'm going to try and create the colours of the beach. We need some wooden mixers, some containers, some PVA glue. This one is actually just got that one from Kmart, so hopefully that works. We need a canvas. Now we'll need to use these containers to sit the canvas on when we do our pour, so all the acrylic paint doesn't pool up around the edge. And now this, believe it or not, is some Moroccan hair oil. Another thing that you can use is silicone. So you can actually get silicone like from the auto shop, or try some silicone that you use for sewing machines. So you could possibly pick up some from the Spotlight or something like that, a haberdashery place. But this I had in my cupboard and I haven't used it. So this cost about $8 or something. I actually got that from Aldi, I think. Anyway, it's just Moroccan oil for your hair. So you need some sort of oil, and silicone or the Moroccan oil seems to work okay. We need these for creating what's called cells. So that's pretty much it. A plastic to put down on the ground, to put down on your surface because the paint oozes out everywhere. And that is all the equipment that we need for our acrylic pour today. Alright, what I will do is show you how to mix up one colour. Now the most important colour that we use is the white. So I'll show you how to mix up the white. Oops. Can you see how much I've got in there? Probably need a bit more. So what I need to do, that's really quite thick. So I'm going to add just a dollop. No real measurements here. As long as we've got the paint and then we've got some glue, probably equal amounts glue to paint, I would imagine. This is the first time I've used it with the glue. I usually use the pouring medium, but I thought glue would be something that a lot of people would have on hand. So I've done half and half glue and paint, and now I'll just add a little bit of water. Now what we want is for it to be runny, but not too runny, so it's quite runny. I'll just keep on mixing that, and what I'm going to do is mix up all of the other colours. Make sure you mix it up really, really well. So I'm going to press pause. I'm not going to show you how to mix the rest of them. You can pick whatever colours you like. I would recommend using 2-3 colours on top of this at least. So you always need the white because that's what we lay down as our coverage. Alright, so I'll stop there and I will come back when I've mixed all my paints. Now you can see there that's about the ratio of paint to glue, and then I add the tiniest amount of water just to give it a bit better flow. So now I'm going to mix all of these and then we can get started on the pour. I have mixed all of the paints, and generally you want a consistency like that. Some of mine are rather runny. You don't want it too runny so it runs straight off your canvas. Now what we do is add a couple of drops. Oops, that was a lot, but We don't want to stir it in too much, so just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stirs, and then that's it. And I'm going to do that to each of my paints that I've mixed up. So just a little bit. We don't want too much because we don't want the whole thing to turn into cells, and that's what that oil creates. It creates cells on your page, and you'll see that, or on your canvas, you'll see that once we get going. So I'm going to add the Moroccan oil to the rest of my paints, and then we can get started. So I have my canvas here, and I've got my plastic underneath to kind of give the table a bit of protection. You want to make sure that your canvas is nice, and actually I'll turn it this way because you can see it better on the screen. You want to make sure that your canvas is nice and level and straight, because if it's tipping, then all of the paint is going to tip one way. And I'm putting my canvas on top of these little plastic tubs, and that will allow for the drippage to happen. So put them in the corners like so. That paint's going to drip everywhere. When I put my first coat on, I will see actually where it goes. All right, so my first coat that I'm going to do is the white one, and white's pretty important because this allows the paint, actually I want to keep a little bit of that, so if any drops over, so this allows the paint to spread all over my canvas. Now what I probably could have done is made that a little runnier. That's rather quite sticky, but that's hopefully okay. Definitely add a bit more water next time. It's supposed to run. Actually, what I'll do. So that did not spread very well, so I've scraped most of it off. There we go. That's the consistency that you want. So I've scraped most of it off and just added a little bit more water. Now you can still spread it out, but you really want the flow. Ah, that flows much better. You can see some of the cells starting to happen as well. Don't want too much of this white to come off. It just kind of creates something for the other paint to flow across. Ideally you'd want that a little bit runnier, but that will do for now. I may even need to mix up a little bit more white. I might need some more white in it. Sometimes with this activity you can get 1 cup and pour all of your colours into 1 cup, but I'm not going to do that today. Now I want the beach to be here and the sea to be here. So give this a little mix. Might have been a good idea to wear gloves too. I'm just going to pour a little bit across there. Some of this teal blue. Oh, look how that's starting to mix up into that. That's lovely. And that's probably, I've got some silver here. I mixed some silver, so I might just put a little bit of that through as well. And then I have this sandy colour. It's probably a little bit too runny, a little bit too thick. And this kind of greyish colour. That grey might not work. That's okay, we'll pop it on anyway. I think it might be a little bit too dark. I think it is. Okay, that's okay. We'll leave that grey out. Now, I'm wanting to cover up some of this grey, so I'm putting a little bit more of my blue on. I'll put some more down here. I'm just about out of the blue. Now, if we were to have had a cup, and with that cup we put all the paints in and tipped the cup up and just let it flow, that is one way that we can create Another way is just by pouring it on and waiting and seeing what happens. And another thing that we can do is scrape across. Now, look at those beautiful cells starting to happen. That looks fantastic. I kind of want to just create like a wave scenario here. That can just spill over the side. I'm not going to catch all that. Look at that. How gorgeous does that look? I'd love to show you and lift it up, but I can't do that. So now with this one here, I'm just going to add a little bit more of that yellow where I did the grey. I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to move it a bit, scrape it a bit. See what's created. Might need to mix maybe a bit more yellow or pour a bit more of the yellow on. And that's where the creative process of this comes in, because you actually direct the paint to where you want it to go. So it's wonderful knowing how to mix it, but the creative part of it happens when you actually mess around with the paint. So, you know, you can scrape it, you can move it. Don't want too much of that grey coming through, so I'm just going to give this a little scrape and see what happens. Look at those lovely cells that are happening. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to leave that just like that. I'm loving the blending here. Some really gorgeous parts here where the colours are blending into each other. Now, a little tip to help bring out that those cells. So oil, when heated, changes a bit. So what I'm going to do now, oops, very carefully without blowing away all of the paint. I'll be washing all of these and reusing these again. I don't like wasting plastics. So when you add heat to something, to oil, it apparently brings out the cells. And it's also moving that around a bit. I'm liking these blue cells happening here. Look at that. That looks fantastic. Now I'm waving this probably about 15 centimetres away from my painting. I don't want to dry it. Oh, look at that. That's looking great. Now some of it's spilling over, but that's fine. Oh, look at those cells down here happening. That looks fantastic. A nice big cell happening there. Some lovely cells happening here. Now, I don't want to do it too much. I'm really pleased with how that looks. That looks really, yeah, very happy with that. So what I'm going to do is now, this is the messy part, I'm going to, what's happened around the edges, we've just got all these drip marks, and you can totally leave that. Or you can just very carefully, just with your finger, just kind of paint around. Just paint around the edge and fill in all those gaps, just so it's not so messy. But as I said, you can just leave it exactly how it is. You do not need to do this step. I'm just going to get some of that paint there and paint it across. Not much has dripped over here. That just kind of finishes it off a little bit better and takes away some of that drip. Now this is the hardest part. You actually have to let this dry for a very long time, pretty much weeks. Have to let this dry for literally weeks. And what happens is a little bit of the gloss will disappear, but that's okay, because what we need to do then is just get like a wet rag, put a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid over the top of it and just clean the top off, because it would have accumulated dust while it was drying. So we need to get that dust off, and then you can either paint lacquer, which I've never done. What I use is a spray lacquer. Now this one is a matte. Looks much better with a gloss, and I have a gloss in there too, but I just grabbed whatever was handy. So once this is dried, at least give it 2 weeks. It's a lesson in patience as well. But you will see the end result, well, like once it's partially dried. So that should take a couple of days. But you don't want to seal any wet paint in because that will damage it. So you need to let this dry or cure for 2 weeks. Now I'm going to press stop and then I'm going to do a close-up of all the beautiful texture that's been created. Look at this. How gorgeous is that? All with a little bit of PVA glue and some acrylic paints. Some gorgeous movement. It's just such a fun art activity to do. That grey is actually mixed in quite well. Alright, I'll pull it back so you can see it. Don't forget that I have a YouTube channel called Bit of a Hippie, and on that you will find all the free art classes that I have been creating. So everyone can get a little bit arty, have a little bit of fun creating. I try and make it so it's for all ages. Some of the activities might need a little bit of adult help, but there's plenty that don't. So hopefully you subscribe. I have a goal to reach 1,000 subscribers by halfway through 2019. So I'm hoping I reach that goal. When I do, I'm having a giveaway of some art supplies and some artwork. And every 100 subscribers I get, I'm giving away a piece of my artwork that I create on these how-to videos. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I would love to see you give this a go. If you do, let me know. You can leave it in a comment, or you can join my Facebook group called Free Art Class, and that's where you can upload any pictures that you've created from any of my videos that I've put on my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so this is a previous pour that I've done. I'm just going to dip an old rag into the water. I'm just going to put a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid on that, not too much. Just 1 drop should do it. Now I'm just going to clean over the top, making sure I get all the dust off, any remnants. Go over the top of it with non-dishwashing liquid water. Get all the dishwashing liquid off. Okay, dry that again. And I have this, which I'm going to give a really good shake and spray over the top. And I'm making sure that I do it in a well-ventilated area. So I've popped this onto the grass because I don't want to get varnish all over my floor, and I'm outside clearly. I'm just giving it a light spray. And then that's it. That's all you do to finish off your artwork. Now remember, you have to wait 2 weeks for it to dry at least. 2 to 3 weeks is a good amount of time.